What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm a little bit under the weather. I've been wanting to do this type of video for some time, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Slash, it happens when it happens, and I just kind of forget about it. So, this is the type of games you don't see me post on YouTube, and the reason for that is I find them fairly unentertaining to watch from this perspective. It will be much more interesting to watch from the opposing player's perspective to see how they dismantle someone easily. These short games where you just lose can be really, really bad. Sort of unentertaining from a way because it just looks like you play awfully, and that's really the case. If you lose really early, it's because you played really awfully. So before I go on any further, I am feeling a little bit under the weather. So if my voice is awful and you hate me for it, then let me know. But because I'm feeling under the weather, I feel like I'm going to be able to do this type of thing. So let's get into it. What this is basically something that I used to do when I was really trying to get good at the game, and I'll try and explain the thought process that's going on and the things that I look for when I do my replay analysis of things that are going on. So just to give you the overview, we're playing Oranos and we're against Odin, and this is Shelty. So one of the strongest Norse players in the game right now, with arguably a favorable matchup. Now I'm on the side of this matchup isn't actually Norse favored. I think this matchup is 50-50, and you just have to outplay your opponent. So, straight away, let's talk about things that I could have done better already. I should wait for the villager to pop out and shoot this giraffe with the town center and the citizen at the same time so that the giraffe dies here instead of here. Now, this might not seem like a lot of difference here to here, but if my villager has to walk an extra 3 seconds or 2 seconds to get to the giraffe in a build order as tight as the 4-minute advance or 355 hunting dogs advance, this slows you down from a 355 to 4 minutes. So that's one little thing that I'm going to have to work on and make sure that's very efficient. And this is pretty much going to be for any of those super tight build orders. I feel like this is super important for Oranos to do in this matchup. Otherwise, they're going to be under the pump really early, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So we're just going to be looking at little small macro mistakes in the early game here. If you're unaware of this build, I am basically attempting to get full... I'm trying to get to the classical edge as fast as I can so that I can get out my Mamillo and Terma to defend. If I can't defend my secondary hunt, then life is painful. If I can defend my secondary hunt, then I can win the game. Alrighty, so let's skip through. If I was watching this myself, I would skip through a little bit and just keep an eye on this. This giraffe dies completely fine, nice and close to my mana, all good.
Herr Joe's?
This giraffe is going to finish. I'm going to try and do a little trick here where I jump through the mana, but unfortunately, there's not enough room on this giraffe. So you will see that when I do this trick. You jump in through the mana and then, not enough room. So that's going to be something to keep a note of. Okay, there's not enough room there. All right, no worries. I need to work that out. Not the worst inefficiency here, but there was definitely no need to do that. Jump through the mana. That was fine. I need to get the wood in order to get my temple. Overgathering of the gold by 8 gold, 12 gold. Too much. So that 12 gold there, in a build order as tight as this, that 12 gold there could have been somewhere between, probably could have been about 10 food. So you'll notice that when we are ready to advance, not only did we also screw up killing this giraffe, but you'll see once this villager pops out, I did not need to send this over to the giraffe either. I could send it over to the pig here. I am 350 food. If we take the 10 food that could have came from this villager and we take the extra, say, 2 seconds, so maybe 5 to 10 food from the other villager here, and then this giraffe getting killed closer to my manor, I would be at 400 food, being able to advance instead of waiting for the remainder of this food and advancing quite late here. So those are the little hyper efficiencies that need to go into this. If I want to get better at doing this build, I will have to focus a lot more on the macro here in the early stages of the game. All right, so everything else completely fine here. We find our hunt, all good, and off to the races we go. I don't feel like I did anything wrong at this point. I got my wood that I needed to build my manor, my counter barracks, and my barracks. It's all going to be fine. I think one thing I could do here, which might not be awful, is bring the villager that builds the counter barracks over to the giraffe over here. Could be a way to supercharge my Murmillo production in this matchup. Still being able to afford a couple of Terma nice and early. Having more than one villager on wood might be overkill here. So something to think about and do some testing in the future. Okay, so here's another problem that I found myself in. I have not set my town center. Now I don't have a which I should pause because a couple of things went wrong there. I don't have a good reason why I didn't set my town center here. I still haven't set it. The villager went over here and I still didn't set it where I need to be. I'm getting distracted by the Valkyrie over here, and my Prometheans just kind of ran to their death. So those are some really, really bad things that are happening already in the game. The Valkyrie comes in and harasses my villagers. So let's just think about this from just the standpoint of let's just say I don't have the APM. Maybe I might have been playing poor here. This was a late night game, and arguably very, very poorly executed already. So I was playing poor. So regardless, what's a way that I could do this situation better? This Shelties attacked me with an Ulfsark and a Skraeling. Well, maybe I should just leave my Promethean in my base. I don't feel like he's only just now moving over onto these Gazelle here. I feel like if he really wanted to deflect this hunt, he would have a Hearser over here, and my Promethean offspring probably really wouldn't get the damage done, even if I found this hunt. Even if I've got onto a villager, he'd be able to turn around and shank it. I don't think I get the damage done that I want to do. And really, my focus here is to simply just have my villagers eating food as much as they can. So hindsight's 2020, but we can learn from hindsight, and we can say, all right, next time I'm going to leave my Promethean on my hunt so that when the Valkyrie comes in, at least I've got something to say, stop attacking my citizen and give me time to make my Murmillo. So if we take a quick calculation here, the barracks takes 20 seconds, the Murmillo takes 12 seconds. Let's say I advance correctly at 3:55 and I drop this barracks down immediately. That means it should be up at 4:15 and I should have at 4:35 I should have one Murmillo, 4:55 two Murmillo. So I've only got one Murmillo out. Oh no, I have two Murmillo out. That's great. I haven't really fallen behind, but this Murmillo, yeah, it's basically out in time, which is great. Maybe actually a little bit slow. I didn't do that math correctly because this is 12 seconds, not 20 seconds. So where were we at? I can't do math. 4:15 plus 12 plus 12. Let's just say it's plus 10. We should probably have 3 Murmillo out here to be able to Valor and push this Valkyrie back anyways. So that's something that's really going to have to come down to better macro. And look at this. I've got myself 96 wood in the bank. There's no need for this wood. So this citizen here, I 100% feel like could have came over onto food, helped me build my military barracks. There's the villager that comes out of my town center first, could have come over onto wood, and then I would have been in a much better position. So that's going to be a way to make my macro a little bit stronger here in order to defend against this Valkyrie and Ulfsark. Okay, and now that all of these macro problems are coming through, I mean, we're going to be able to deal with the Valkyrie, but we did, unfortunately, use Valor on Terma. And this is what I call a panic valor. I did see that my other Murmillo was there, but I didn't pull my Terma into the tower or anything to make sure that I got my Murmillo heroes. It is a big deal in this matchup. These Murmillo heroes are really, really important. They get 150 HP compared to 110 HP. They get an extra like 15% or something in terms of damage. So they end up being really, really strong against those Ulfsarks, which would normally be able to go even with a fight. So the more hero Murmillo you can have, the better. Villager production, kind of average. All right, so now we can see I've got myself into a position where I can support everything I need to support, and I'm going on the offensive here. After all is said and done, I'm going on the offensive, trying to look for a raid, and the only place that I know where my opponent is gathering is here because of this Oracle. And does Shelty see this Oracle? He doesn't. So he doesn't know that I know that these are here, but he's already over here ready to defend. So he might have seen me moving forward, but he's sending his Ulfsark forward, and I don't have any idea that they're coming. So 48 population to 62s, and he's got 0 resources in the bank. So he's been spending his resources effectively perfectly, and we're at 6 minutes. So if I want to go and have a look at a way in which I can keep up with Oranos here, I'm going to have to figure out a way in which I can get to 62 population here. And obviously my resources are relatively low, so the max population I would be able to get here would be like maybe an extra Murmillo or 2 out. If I didn't have all the problems over here, I might have been able to squeeze out something else. Maybe making some Promethean at this point wouldn't have gone astray. Obviously I have not just yet, but maybe now would be a Promethean time to start training, but I should not be attempting to be aggressive here. If we just take a quick look at the units that I have out, let's say I send all of these back home. I've got this many units, 3, 4, 6, and he's sending in 9. So I've got 9 units. He's got 9 units. I should have a Promethean out. I should be able to defend this raid. And he has to kind of stay back with these units to just be a little bit scared. So going for a raid here maybe doesn't make sense. So I should still be playing defensive at the 6-minute mark. And as this happens, he pushes in, I'm off this food, and at this point being off food is really, really bad because I can no longer support citizen training time and Murmillos. So we can do a little dance here, but in the end of the day, this game is now over because he can push me off hunt. And and you cannot realistically, I mean, I could come back over here and get onto my pigs and be okay. Maybe I could have built a Chiro Ballaster here just to push these Ulfsark back, but the Ulfsark have got Lone Wanderer, makes it a little bit less like I want to. Microing here to try and run my Terma away is probably something I could have tried, but he still has more Ulfsark killing my Murmillo than I have Murmillo out. So things obviously look really bad for me, and I have 250 gold in the bank, which could have all been Murmillo, could have been all Promethean to defend here. So this attack, which has effectively won Shelty the game, I now know that this attack is possible and that Oranos maybe is not actually able to go on the offensive just yet. So if that's the case, time to learn from that and say, okay, against Oranos, I'm going to respect their early game a lot more and see if I can figure out a different point at which I can be aggressive and find a victory at a different point in this game because this is too much for little old bad macro Oranos to deal with. So things that I learned this game, and this is something that I would have done back in AOM learning days. I will probably write this down in a notepad document or something. If we jump over to the full screen and I open up my notepad, I'll say, okay, so we need to maximize hunting macro early game. Maybe 1 wood after military, then 2 food. Those were the mistakes. And builds Promethean. Maybe. Maybe I'm not sure if I need to or not this early. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. But if I do all of that, And leave Promethean on hunt early. That way, and then we could just save this into a place and be in a decent position. So that's obviously I got absolutely run over here. And Shelty, if you actually took a look at Shelty's perspective, would have been a really, really instructional game on how to execute a very, very strong strategy against Oranos. So feel free to, I think the recorded game is on Voobly. You can go on, check my profile and download it and learn yourself. But this is my analysis and how I can attempt to find myself in a not necessarily a winning position at the very least, not losing, which is actually the most important thing in RTS, is figuring out how to not lose. If you can figure out how to not lose, every single time you get into those situations, you're going to be able to get better and better. And eventually you just start winning because, I mean, if you don't lose, you win, right? That's kind of how it works. And I know that some situations it's like, well, the god that doesn't lose late game will win, but then you just need to get better late game and you'll be able to win those games as well in a way. Or you'll be able to work out where your win conditions were by doing analysis like this. Now, this is a short game. You could do this on longer games, figure out your mistakes and get better. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you do enjoy this type of game, this type of video, please let me know in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.